The following is a Red Apple Podcast Network presentation.
They say this is a big rich town. I just come from the poet's part. Bright light, city life, I gotta make it.
Welcome to Dominic Carter's podcast. This is Dominic Carter's City Hall. Now, here's Dominic Carter.
Red Apple Podcast Talk Radio 77 WABC. You can listen to me, Dominic Carter, weekdays 3 to 4 p.m. live, then back live again weeknights, midnight to 1 a.m., plus on Sundays, 11 p.m. until 1 a.m. The state of policing in our country today through the eyes of two retired officers that give and give and give back to the community. They have spent their lives serving, protecting, and still giving back long after the badge came off. This is my podcast. Let's go. Policing in America today is heartbreaking. This isn't spin. This isn't politics. This is the truth from men who have lived it on the job. What officers endure on a daily basis, communities that too often take them for granted, and politicians who turn their backs on law enforcement the moment it's politically convenient. We're sitting down right now here in Phillipsburg, New Jersey, with two remarkable retired officers to talk the climate police face, and a remarkable, unbreakable brotherhood that continues to hold them up and hold them together. Joining us is John Mancini, a retired officer from the West Orange, New Jersey Police Department. John founded the department's K-9 unit during his time on the force, building it from the ground up. Today, he's a successful businessman based in Nutley, New Jersey. Also with us, retired NYPD Detective Tom Werther. Tom served on the Warrants squad in my old Bronx neighborhood and now hosts the Blue Room podcast, a show dedicated to issues impacting law enforcement nationwide. Both men are part of a powerful brotherhood that honors fallen officers across the country, sending flowers to every funeral for an officer killed in the line of duty. It's a quiet but meaningful reminder that no officer's sacrifice is ever forgotten. We start our conversation with John Mancini. So John Mancini, I find you to be remarkable, but you are now retired law enforcement. Tell us about your career.
Well, believe it or not, I started out as a PI. We were doing a lot of work with that. I met a guy that we seemed to hit it off and do a lot of good stuff with, and actually became a bounty hunter. I was a bounty hunter for about 5 years. And we actually had a very good success rate. We actually worked with federal agencies. From there, I moved into law enforcement.
So exactly what did you do in law enforcement? What agency did you retire from?
I worked for West Orange.
In New Jersey?
In New Jersey. I started the K-9
You worked
unit.
with the dogs?
Yes. Yep.
Wow, I didn't know you worked with the dogs.
I actually started the unit, yeah.
So what was that like?
I had dogs when I did bounty hunting, and I had a dog that was pretty much 90% trained. Department gave me the green light, and we sent him out to Morris County K-9 Academy. He got trained, and he was a narcotics and patrol dog.
Wow. So how does it work with the dogs? How do you train them? For narcotics, you expose them to narcotics? Is that true?
No, and this is what a lot of people don't understand. It's a game. It's nothing but a game. It's all fun for the dog. We hide the narcotics. They find it. They play. So a lot of people have a misnomer that you get the dogs hooked on drugs, and that's the farthest from the truth. That is, to them, when you take them out of their car and you tell them find it and go, it's nothing but a game. Even bite work is there's no emotion in that. It's just fun for them.
Even when they're forced to bite.
Yep. The difference is because if it's emotion, you want the dog to bite and hold. If it was emotion, the dog would be biting and releasing, and you just want them to hold the suspect. So anything that we do with the dog is done either with food or with praise.
Wow. And so if it's necessary for the dog to bite, is there a standard command that you give the officer?
It's pretty funny. My dog was Czechoslovakian, and all my commands were in German.
No.
Yeah, so nobody knew what I was telling the dog to do.
Wow. And so if you gave, and we're talking to a wonderful retired police officer from New Jersey, John Mancini, your wife is wonderful, your daughter is wonderful. So if you gave that command in German, your dog would attack.
Absolutely, 100%. And my dog was considered a hard dog. He was not a dog that you would approach and pet. He was hard. When he came out of that crate, he was working.
Wow.
I got videos I can show you. You'd be unbelievably impressed.
And you know what's funny? The bad guys, they don't play with dogs. They straighten up when the dogs come.
There was a riot in Orange, and we got sent out on mutual aid. They flipped a police car, shots fired. We had guys with shotguns. The guys with shotguns, they were mouthing off to them. I came up with the dog, pulled back the reins. He let out a growl. Everything stopped right there, and they left. Nobody wants to mess with the dog.
Wow. But now with dogs, with canine police dogs, you're forced to retire them, what, 15 years?
Well, once it gets tough on them, the hips and stuff like that, you got to understand that's their whole life is just being with their handler, and everything is just so much fun for them. I mean, it's just they love when you say, come on, let's go, boom, they're out that door. They just love what they're doing. That's their purpose in life, and they're just great.
Wow. So I didn't know that you did the canine with the dogs. Okay, and you started the.
I started the unit.
Wow. And did you retire from that unit?
I did, and I was a firearms instructor. I was certified to teach at the police academy, a mace instructor.
Wow. So that means you're good at firearms.
I was, pretty okay.
What makes you good at firearms? If you can hit a certain target at a certain range?
Practice. Nothing but practice, repetition, and forcing you. Even nowadays, shooting at a paper target, really not the best thing unless you start putting officers under stress. Because the paper target and isn't shooting back at you.
Right.
So what we used to try and do is when we had the guys on the range and make them run back and forth, and try and make it more realistic to them. When you're breathing heavy, it's a lot harder to stay on target. So we used to try doing that, and sometimes we got in trouble for the realistic.
All of those things come into play. Now, from what the NYPD taught me, John, is that officers are trained to shoot for the largest mass of body. Is that accurate?
Center mass.
Center mass.
Center mass.
Right. And not for the arms or legs,
no.
Because you can miss.
Absolutely.
And I try and explain to the public, this is not Hollywood.
Right.
And if you're aiming for a leg or an arm and you miss, you can hit an innocent child or an innocent bystander.
It's funny, if you played sports.
Yes.
You ever played basketball?
Yes.
What do they tell you to look at? When you're playing defense, they tell you to look at his waist.
Right, because they can. No matter what move he does, he can't get away from the
Center
waist.
mass.
Same thing.
Same thing. And you also got to realize that under stress, with everything moving, the chances of you hitting an arm or leg are pretty much zil. It's not going to happen. So center mass. And the other thing people say, and I used to hate this, is you shoot to kill. There's no shoot to kill. You shoot to stop the aggression. So if you fire your gun and they don't stop, you fire again. You fire again until it stops.
And that's how, when we hear sometimes multiple shots fired.
Yep, exactly.
So you moved from John Mancini, retired law enforcement, New Jersey. You moved from law enforcement into becoming a businessman, and that's how I met you. Because through Lisa, you give back so much to the community. You run a printing shop in Nutley. You also have an oxygen bar 2 establishments away. I'm just curious, John Mancini, why are you so community-centered and so community-oriented, giving so much back to the community?
Pretty much, I guess, the way I was brought up. My parents were always like that. They always gave back. And, it's the right thing to do. And I give away probably more than I sell.
You do a lot. What's the name of the printing shop?
It's 911 Specialties.
And what's the avenue? It's a main avenue.
It's High Street, 182 High Street.
And 2 stores down is your oxygen bar.
Correct. And the oxygen bar actually came up. I was in a hospital. Past couple of years, I spent a lot of years in the hospital. But my oxygen was low. And when I came home, I looked up what makes your oxygen low, what helps it. And I kept seeing oxygen bars, and I had never heard of one before. And I asked my wife, and she said, "Yeah, you never heard of one?" And I said, "No." And so then I said, "You know what? That might be pretty cool." So I opened up an oxygen bar.
Wow, that's how it came about.
That's how it came up.
Wow. My last question. What has law enforcement meant to you for your life, your career, and your family? Your beautiful wife is here with you. I had the honor of meeting your daughter, who has her master's degree. She helps special needs children. What has law enforcement meant to you and your family?
I've always loved it, always been involved in it. And I would guess it would be a little rough on my wife. She kind of knows how I was when I was a bounty hunter. And I had a hard dog, so when it was a bad call, I always got called out. So when the phone rang at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I would tell her I'm getting called in, and she would ask, what is it? And I go, yeah, it was a stolen car, and
you didn't tell her the full story. Right. She knew you were lying.
She knew I was lying. So, but she's maintains and she takes it in stride, and she knew how I was, and hopefully that I'd come back.
I got to tell you, man, you're a beautiful guy. Did you ever have any close calls on the job where you didn't know if you were going to make it out?
It was a longer story, but I had a gun. We pulled off a guy that was on my side of the vehicle, and that was supposed to be for me. So, but I wound up seeing it before they did, and we wound up getting in. And luckily, the guy, it was a 9mm, and they loaded it with 380s. So a 380 round. So it even if he did get it off, I don't think it would have it would have went off, or at least he would have got one shot. But it was on my side. That was pretty much for me.
Did you count your blessings every night on the job?
It's funny. I am a way different person now. Way different. My personality, and people that know me, they can't believe I was ever a cop, especially on a TAC unit. But I was very, very different back then because the job makes you that way.
John Mancini, thank you. Now retired law enforcement, now a businessman, Nutley, New Jersey. Thank you, brother, for joining us.
Thank you, man.
So now I'm talking to Tom Werther, retired detective, NYPD. We just spoke for a few minutes to your pal, John Mancini, retired law enforcement as well. Tom, I got to tell you, man, you're the real deal. I got the opportunity to do a podcast with you. I want you to explain to me, one, how many years were you on the force NYPD?
I served 12 years.
12 years. What is life like today for an NYPD officer? Keep it real.
Keep it real. Well, so I did 12 years. I was hit by a car. I was injured in line of duty, so I was cut short. But my time there, the guys today have a very difficult job, very different than what we had 15, 20 years ago, where not only fighting the folks on the street, and I say fighting, it's not like a physical confrontation, but where constantly have the same arguments with the folks in the street, with the politicians, with the people that think they know law enforcement based off their social media pages. So we're fighting fights on every angle here with very little support. So doing the job now is very different than it was 20 years ago. You're not that you shouldn't be answering for everything, but body cameras. Honestly, body cameras are one of the greatest things that they ever did. We're more scrutinized now than ever. Those body cameras catch everything. So the road that you take down that law enforcement highway is very different. It's difficult. You don't know obviously you don't know what's waiting for you around the corner, but you're getting it from 7 different angles here. You know, the support of the community, the support of your mayors, your governors, law enforcement in general. People like to dissect the police officer versus the sheriff versus the ICE versus the federal. They're all law enforcement officers, and we're all tasked with the same job, enforcing the law. I don't know how these guys do it today. I honestly don't. I don't know how they're able to effectively do it safely. And by safely, I mean not only for their own safety, but the safety of the people that we're providing that service for.
So you're telling me they're second guessed, they're undermined, they're overworked, they work for a mayor that does not have their back.
Yeah.
Mamdani.
Mm-hmm. They're besides all that, I mean, and you think that would be enough, right? That would be enough. And then we have the judicial system. New York State, New York City is catch and release. They love letting folks out. We had a sergeant just yesterday was convicted of manslaughter with the effecting a lawful arrest on a gentleman who wound up expiring during that arrest process. He was convicted. That sends a strong message to your police officers.
And his life has changed forever now.
His life is over. His life is over. This sergeant, he may go to jail. Look, I wasn't there for the process of the whole court process. I do have faith in the system. As a Bronx cop, we never really had a whole lot of faith in the Bronx judicial system. It was always kind of rigged against us. We felt that way, and this verdict from a judge, no less, kind of supports that message that we're not supported. We're just not supported.
So you don't think you could do the job today?
I could. Listen, we have a lot of challenges. I think that we have to look at how law enforcement is conducted. Are we doing it perfectly? No. I think in anything you do in your life, if you've given up on how to improve, you've given up on it in general. So law enforcement, there's always room for improvement. I don't know how I would be able to effectively enforce the law in the areas that I worked in now the way we did then. And it wasn't a rogue warrior gangbanger stuff that we did. It was just everyday effective common sense policing that now is being called into question. Like I said, is good though. You should be able to question authority. You should be able to question law enforcement the way we question our teachers and our doctors, our politicians. But I think it's gone too far. Calling out a bad cop for doing a bad thing is always a good thing, because every good cop, we all agree that we don't like bad cops. It makes us look bad. It makes our job harder. But I think it's gotten so far down the line now that it would be almost impossible to effectively police New York City safely. It can't happen.
So how do we improve police community relations? It's not just the police, okay? And I try and explain this all the time. The community has lots of issues.
I think you got to deal with the politicians. So you talk about the community issues, and you see it all the time, depending on what news agency you watch. You go into the areas that are known for high crime areas, and you talk to the gangbangers on the corner, and they're the ones that are, anti-police. I'll tell you what, go to that corner drugstore and talk to the grandmother or the mother or the father who has to walk 6 or 7 blocks through that same spot that you're patrolling to get from the CVS drugstore or get milk and bread to get back to their apartment or their house. They appreciate the police. They need the police. So when you hear all this defunding police and get rid of this and get rid of that, they're a very small portion of the population that agree with that. That squeaky wheel gets the grease, so they're out there hooting and hollering and yelling. But the people that really need police, they want us there. They need us there. They're the ones that we have to worry about, honestly.
So, Tom, defund the police was one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. What do you guys in law enforcement think about it?
Like I said earlier, it's always good to reevaluate. Defunding is a terrible plan, especially in New York City, where the attrition rate is ridiculous. We're losing 3,000 to 4,000 or 5,000 officers a year to retirement, and we're replacing them with 1,200 maybe candidates per year. So at that rate, within 5 years, when I got on the job in '94, we had 38,000 police. I think now we're down to 32, 31. They're numbers that they're not sustainable. They're not sustainable because now you're forcing officers to work their days off. You're forcing them overtime. So Mamdani right now is saying, cutting overtime. We don't have the police manpower to effectively patrol the city on a regular basis. The only way to actually get that coverage is by offering them overtime. The only body that's able to stand on that corner is the same body that's been there for 8 hours who now has to be there for 12 hours. That's 4 hours overtime. That same body that's there on a Saturday, it's their day off. The only way to get that officer there is to pay them overtime. So if you want to cut overtime, you're actually cutting patrol. You're cutting safety. You're cutting things that the city needs. That's not the answer. If you have a problem with law enforcement, change some of the laws. Work on bail reform. If these folks that are committing these crimes are actually detained in the system, they're not out there committing more crimes. You want to lower crime? Keep the bad guys in jail. It's simple. It's common sense.
It really is. We are in a remarkable room that's filled with history of police from around the country.
Yep.
Tom, describe some of this stuff for a radio audience of what we're in right now.
So BBO, which is a charity called Brothers Before Others, who started about 10 years ago. This right here is the headquarters to BBO. And what we do here is that we provide funeral arrangements, flowers for every line of duty death in the law enforcement throughout the country. Been doing it for about 10 years. This room that we're standing in right now is artifacts from all over the country, all over the world. We have Irish Garter. We have Italian Polizzi memorabilia up on the wall. We have 9/11. We have parts from 9/11. We have police vehicle parts here. We've got war stories. We have mugs. We've got you name it, it's here. And every piece tells a story. I come in here maybe 12, 15 times a year, if not more. And every time I come in, I find something new I didn't see before.
Wow.
It's just another photo or another clink. I'm like, oh, there's a badge up on the walls. We call them shields. Cops call them shields. Firemen call them badges. There's a shield up on the wall. Who's that? And there's a story behind that. And this is where we come to, we share stories and we support each other. But this is the home base. This is the operation right here.
So this is my last question for you. You are the real deal. I can tell from meeting you. Why did you get into law enforcement, and what's the thing you want to leave the public with about when they think about our police officers, the heroes, the men and women of law enforcement in this great country?
I'll tell you what. I grew up in a very small town. I grew up raised middle class America. We got into scuffles with the police. We did stupid things, and the police straightened us out. As I got older, we didn't hold ill will to the police because we knew that we were being knuckleheads. If you're a knucklehead, my idea of a knucklehead as a kid growing up was throwing ice balls at the bus that went by in the street. Today's idea of a knucklehead is a kid throwing a brick off an overpass. It's a very different place. The New York City, we've been through a lot of transitions. I grew up here in the 70s and the 80s. I remember what Tompkins Square Park was in the 80s. We're heading down that direction again, I believe, and it's not helping that everyone with a flag or a banner or woke up that day annoyed about something is out there protesting against the police. And oftentimes, if you go to some of these protests and you talk to them, they don't even know what they're protesting. The police right now, New York City Police Department is the highest trained, best behaved large police force in the world, hands down. Hands down, 850,000 police officers in the country. New York City's got about 31,000 of them. HSI, which is Homeland Security, they have a bigger police force, but they don't do what we do. New York City needs the NYPD, like LA needs the LAPD, and Miami needs Miami PD, and every small town needs them for the greater good. Are they bad apples? Absolutely. Should we get rid of those bad apples? Absolutely. The answer isn't going after a guy that, jaywalking when you have guys that are, DWIing. It's like killing a cockroach with a hammer. It's a little overkill, right? We need to weed out the bad guys, which there always are, and girls, and get rid of them. Necessary to survival? Absolutely. Without law and order, we have nothing. We have nothing. Without law and order, the rest of this country looks like Minneapolis right now. They don't even know what they're protesting. It's 8 degrees below zero, and they're out there hooting and out. They have no idea why. They don't know why. I guarantee you, if you took a half a dozen of those and sat them down and had a common sense discussion, most of them would agree. Yeah, they're getting a paycheck or whatever their reason for being there, it's not right. It's not right. They're either following suit or Yeah, so we need the police. We need guys like me. We need guys like you that support us to share the message.
1,000%.
It's important.
I support the police.
But just be open. Listen. Stop believing everything you see on Fox and CNN and MSNBC. Talk to a cop. You see him on the corner, talk to him. Watch him. We have no problem with you recording us. We have cameras. We record ourselves. We're happy to do it. You want to go up and have a conversation? You stop any cop on the street and have a legitimate conversation, we'll talk to you. Don't come up yelling and screaming and putting cameras in our faces, because you're going to be met with that same hostility you're bringing to us.
While you're dealing with a life and death situation,
of course.
Somebody could pull out a knife or a gun and stab you, and somebody's talking about First Amendment right.
Yeah.
I need to record you.
We have to see things and behave in ways that the general public know nothing about.
Before I let you go, you mentioned something. I want to make sure I have this right. Your organization, you also do a podcast. You were kind enough to have me on your podcast. But the organization, for every officer in America that's killed line of duty, the organization sends flowers to?
It's called the Flower Fund. It's the only program in the country that does it. And we send an arrangement to every single line of duty death. Somewhere around the number of 350 a year, 320 a year. That's a lot.
That's a lot of money.
That adds up, yeah. It's probably $150,000, $200,000 on take. And we raise money all year long to do it. It's not much. It's something. It's what we do. I don't know how to make a family feel good in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, when they lose a family member in a line of duty death. But we know that we sent a flower to let them know they're not alone. And we invite people here all the time. You want a family member, supporter, come on the show. Come talk. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to share your experiences. Negative ones, we'll hear you out.
And what is your podcast?
My podcast is called The Blue Room podcast. So, blue being police, and the Blue Room. It's just a comfortable place. It started at Police Week in D.C. about 8 years ago, where we set up a room just for family members of line of duty death folks. And they came to this area, and we had food for them. We sat, we talked to them, we comforted them, and then we turned that into a show. Not there, but opened it to other people. Like, yeah, we support you, and we want to know that we want you to know that we're here for you, and anything we can do to help you, we will.
Tom, I got to tell you, no other way to say this, man. You're the man. Thank you for your service to the NYPD, and for what you and others do, and from talking to John Mancini. You folks are just wonderful. Thank you very much.
I tell you, we're a great organization. There's lots like us. I wish there were more. It seems like a never-ending uphill battle, trying to convince people that we're not as evil as some of the agencies, the news agencies, and even the politicians. I mean, the politicians, they could be your best friend, and they could be your worst enemy. They really can. And they can flip on the dime. What's trending today? Well, trending is not supporting the cops. And then next month, the trending is that we are supporting them. And you just don't know where you stand with a lot of people. It's confusing. And I can't imagine actually running a household like that. Can you imagine being a child and today dad said it was okay, and tomorrow mom said it was okay, and then the next day one said no, and you couldn't raise a family like that, so we can't run a country like that.
It bears repeating what NYPD retired Detective Tom Werther just said, and I am quoting, "The politicians can be your best friend and your worst enemy. They really can, and they can flip on the dime." What's trending today? Well, trending is not supporting the cops. Then next month, what's trending is we are supporting them. You just don't know where you stand with a lot of people. Folks, you try being a law enforcement officer today throughout the country. An impossible job that could cost you your life. Retired NYPD Detective Tom Werther, and before him, John Mancini, a retired officer from the West Orange, New Jersey Police Department. John founded the department's K-9 unit during his time on the force. Today, he is a successful businessman based in Nutley, New Jersey.
Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now is, right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Please support law enforcement. And that is all the time we have for this episode. You can listen to me, Dominic Carter, weekdays, 3 to 4 p.m. live, then back live again weeknights, midnight to 1 a.m., plus on Sundays, 11 p.m. until 1 a.m. Red Apple Podcast Talk Radio 77, WABC.
I gotta make it.
Dominic Carter socials on Twitter at Dominic TV and Facebook and Instagram, Dominic Carter TV. Email at dominic.carter@wabcradio.com. Until the next episode, be well. And as Dominic always says, stay positive. The glass is always half full, never half empty. Dominic Carter City Hall.